Today's story comes to us from The Stories in Faith by Gail Forsyth-Vail. It is called We Are All One, and it was adapted from a Cantonese tale by Lawrence Yap. Once there was a young woman who lived simply but happily with her husband and their 3 children, until one day a strange illness of the eyes came into their home. First her husband, and then their eldest son started having trouble with their eyesight. Everything looked blurry and gray to them. They went to the local doctor and they tried medicine after medicine, but nothing worked, and soon they found they could not see at all. Within a week, the illness had spread, and now their middle son could not see, and then the youngest, and then even some of the neighbors as well seemed to be affected by the strange illness. The woman was beside herself with worry. She visited doctor after doctor until finally one told her of a healing plant. This plant, an herb, only grew in the deepest part of the forest, and she decided she must leave her family to go and seek it. Early the next morning, she headed to the forest. She looked under bushes, she looked behind trees, she looked everywhere, but the herb was nowhere to be found. Many hours later, exhausted but still determined, the woman came upon a small stream. She sat down to rest, still looking for the herb. Then she noticed a big rock had fallen into the stream, making the water run out of the stream to form a little pool. The little pool of water was flooding a nearby anthill. Although she was in a hurry to find the herb, her heart went out to the ants. The woman stopped looking for a moment, long enough to make a channel for the water. With satisfaction, she watched as the water flowed away from the anthill. "We are all one," she stated simply, and continued on her way. The woman slept soundly that night, curled up under a large tree with a blanket. As she slept, a strange dream came to her. In it, she was inside the anthill, surrounded by cheering ants. The queen ant stepped forward majestically. "Do not be afraid," she reassured the woman. "We have brought you here to thank you for saving our home and our lives. In return, if you ever need our help, all you need to do is call upon us, and we will come to your aid." As the dream faded and the woman began to wake, she heard the queen ant's voice calling after her again, distinctly saying, "We are all one." All through the day, the woman searched for the herb. She wondered if she were already too late, if everyone in her village had gone blind. She was startled from her thoughts by the sound of a bird, intent upon catching a centipede. The centipede was scurrying across the ground as quickly as his many legs would carry him. She quickly scooped him up and away from the bird, saying, "We are all one." She carried the centipede to some leaves and placed him gently under their cover. That night she again had strange dreams. This time she was visited by the centipede. "Thank you for saving my life," the tiny voice proclaimed, "and now I will help you as you have helped me. The herb you seek can be found by an ancient oak tree in the very center of the forest." An image of the gnarled and twisting oak came to her mind as she heard the centipede state, "We are all one," and then she awoke. The woman spent the next morning making her way into the heart of the woods, searching for the oak tree. As the day progressed, she noticed that the trees around her were getting blurry. Gazing towards the sky, she saw that the sun was still high in the sky, and with horror she realized that she too must have contracted the strange illness. Quickening her pace, she continued toward the center of the forest, but with every step her eyesight worsened. Just as she was giving way to despair, she found the ancient oak tree. Even though she could barely see, she could tell that it looked just like the one she had seen in her dream. Stumbling and out of breath, she began to search for the herb frantically. It was no use. Her eyes could no longer tell one plant from another. Crying with frustration, she wept for her husband, her children, and all the people of her village. She turned to try and retrace her steps home, but then she remembered, the ants! Perhaps they could help her now. She called to them, and soon enough, small voices responded. "Bend down," the queen ant's voice called. "The herb you seek is right here. I am standing on it." Gently, the woman knelt and reached toward the sound. With cautious movement so as not to harm the queen ant, she found the herb and plucked it. Slowly and carefully, she tore a small piece of the leaf and chewed it up. Almost instantaneously, her sight was restored. Joyfully, she harvested the herbs and returned to her village. Before she left, however, she thanked the ants and proclaimed one last time, "We are all one." The woman walked as swiftly as she could, one day, then all into the night by the light of the moon. She hoped, oh, how she hoped that she would return on time to save her village from all the blindness. Finally, she reached her home. As she called to her children, they followed her voice, for now they were all completely blind. Anxiously, she gave them bits of the herb, and then she waited to see what would happen. 1 minute passed, then another. Then her eldest son laughed with joy. "I see you," he shouted. "I truly can see you now." Soon everyone in the village had been cured of the strange illness, and the woman who had saved them returned to her simple but happy life with her husband and children, and she never forgot the lesson of we are all one.